We're live. We're live. It is Tuesday. We're doing a little bit of the Age of Antiquity map today. Let's just check everything. Yeah. Think video looks good. I look good. Let's do this thing. So what are we up to tonight? Well, you can see we've got a couple of holes in the city. They're not going to take long to fill. But drawing buildings over and over and over can get boring if you're watching it, you know? It's very repetitious. I do have the aqueducts to complete. I do have those holes in the city to complete, but I thought, you know, we're so close to finishing this map. I think it's going to be done, like, in the next 2 weeks. Let's move on out to the outside. Let's move on out into the country, and let's work those areas a little bit. So I think that's what we're going to get up to tonight. I have my trusty brush, and I'm on about the right size. We're going to get into this thing. So when I am heading on out, let's pick this side as a perfect example. It's actually got even a little bit of sketching going on. But let's pick the... Well, actually, I've got a lot of layers here. Hold on a sec. What are these layers? Like, what is that one? What am I using that for? I don't know. Oh, something's disappearing over there. Well, that was the forum. Okay, well, let's get rid of that. I don't think I need that. And then, so we've got our regular ink, we've got our paths, and one of these. What's that layer? I don't know what that layer is. Oh, something's disappearing over there. Okay, so those are little statues over in the temple district. So we can move... Oof. Let's just move them up there with the hills. Then we've got this layer right here. What was this? Am I even doing anything with that one? I don't think I am. Okay, I'm just going to merge it in with the buildings. I'm taking a chance. Alright, then I've got my walls, I've got my towers, and I've got my aqueduct pieces, which I'm going to come back to. So, let's take a little look. Let's call this terrain. And let's float ourselves out to the north side, right here. And I'm going to walk you through my planning of the countryside here. Stephen, A-E-I-O-U, is good to see you. Been a while, AE. There's so much city here. There's so much city here. Been busy little bee. And it looks like I've got a little bit to go, but one off-camera session will fill the interior of the city. So I thought I'd do something a little bit more exciting. That being the terrain. So when I'm doing terrain, I think in terms of roads, I always tend to draw my roads first. So let's say something like this one here. I use like just a little dotted line, so it's almost dirt road like, even though we're going to make this a little bit more permanent. I think we'll bring out a little bit of a side road over there, and we're going to do the same over here, but I'm going to stagger them so it's less of a crossroads, maybe something like this. Okay, and we're going to create some like little farms and things like that in those areas. I'm going to also probably flag that. Now, the edge of the rivers, by the way, that looks like a very, very strong line, but when you zoomed out, it's about right. I mean, it's a heavy line. It's a little too heavy, but I'm going to leave it. Because what we're going to do is right on the edge of the water here, we're going to create the water's edge. Like the shoreline, so to speak. probably, I think, get some trees and such, but I'm gonna do the hills. We're gonna figure out where our hills are at first. You can see I started sketching it in the top corner here. Tarnished Knight, good evening to you, sir. The music thing. This is the setting that we've had music playing for weeks. I haven't touched it. Haven't touched it. In fact, you probably heard me talking about minus 12 decibels or whatever the setting is. I've just literally dropped it to minus 21 right now. I don't touch it. I don't touch that dial. AEIOU says, my wife shared that she finds your streams very soothing. What can I say? Your wife has magnificent taste. Well, I will say though, I've noticed that as a little bit of a theme when people get in the stream and they're mapping themselves or they're drawing art or maybe they're even writing a little bit, but they're working on their own project. So we got a nice little bit of music going in the background. I'm not loud and obnoxious most of the time. I'm just sitting here drawing, you know what I'm saying? And I think it is one of those just sit and chill together while I'm drawing a map and people are doing other things. And I'm okay with that, you know what I'm saying? Like Green Loontoon, he's painting miniatures and stuff a lot of the time, and I love that. I love that we're all in our own little creative workshops. It means a lot to me. So Tarnished Knight, I'm going to guess that you can't hear the music at all now because I turned it down so low. If that's the case, I'll turn it back up just a smidge because I like having the music in the background. Hey, Alex is here. So music is fine now. So as long as you can hear it a little bit, then I will keep my hands off it. Good to see everyone here this evening. I gotta be honest with you, you know, I have a day job, and sometimes I come out of the day job, I'm kind of bushed, you know. The last thing you're thinking about when you finish the day job is, oh, I'm gonna fire up like a camera now and start drawing and, you know, talking to people. Sometimes you just want to veg out, and I have those moments as well. But, you know, I get on camera, so to speak, I fire up a map, and you energize me. The day just melts away behind me, and I love that. I love the energy that you bring. Plus, you keep me honest. All of you keep me honest. I can't just goof off and say, oh, I'm going to play The Witcher 3 instead. It's like, no, you're mapping, girl. Get your stylus and stop bleating like a little sheep. Come on, get your shit together. Alright, so one thing I tend to do is I add little sort of, I'm not going to call it hills, but little rises kind of going up to some of the towers. I like to think that the towers are got their own little sort of, you know, slope going down from them just a tad. Maybe even the walls themselves. And then got the coastline here. Let's get some rocks going on this. And sometimes you could outright draw a rock, but I'm not drawing ground cover right now. But when we're done, there won't be 1 square inch or 2 square centimeters, whatever you want to call it, you Brits, that won't have some kind of texturing on it. And it'll start with what we're doing right here. And then I think we're going to do hills. And then we're going to do some trees. I like to move it in that order. By the way, next couple of days, if you're here in the United States, I'm going to be putting in my events for GameholeCon in October. It is a great convention. Check it out if you are here in the United States of America. I'm probably going to run a couple of Call of Cthulhu games and do a mapping seminar with Anna Maya herself. So watch out for them. I would love to see you there. Alex, it's funny that you should mention that. I actually didn't know kind of how much Metric has sort of taken over, but the last time that I was there, albeit a while ago now, I noticed there was a lot more sort of grams and things, like you had to have it on packaging and stuff in supermarkets and things. But when I was there, I used a mixture of Imperial and Metric all of the time. And I think part of that, honestly, came from Dungeons and Dragons and Wargaming. But I did wonder how much has actually been phased out and moved into the metric system more fully. Alright, that I think is enough for there. I'm gonna follow the little traces that I did in the corners here, where I thought having some hills would be a good idea. I think I'm gonna do that. There is also going to be a frame that I put on this map, but that's gonna be one of the last things I do, because it doesn't really matter if the frame covers some farms and stuff. They're pure texture at this point. Everything, all of the POIs that we need are in the city itself. I was just talking about you, Mr. Green Loon Tool. I was talking about your miniature painting. How have you been? I'm pretty sure you did do it. I'm not sure what it is, but you said that so quickly. That's guilt. That's guilt right there. Now I was just talking about how, we get, a few regulars get into the channel and, they hang out while they're doing their own thing, and how you're painting a lot of the time. By the way, we're gonna do a little hangout this Friday, so watch for mention of that in the Discord. I'm gonna do an unboxing of the effing cool miniatures that I got recently. They're Goblin King miniatures. Maybe if you can, if you've got time, it will be around 5 to 6 o'clock Pacific time. Drop in. I'd love to sort of show you what they've got going on. Some of the miniatures look really good, but I haven't unboxed it yet. And I was gonna prep them. I was gonna, get them sprayed up, get some matte going. Join me on Zoom when I spray white matte acrylic all over my computer monitor. Alex, that's weird. That's weird. Honestly, I would have thought that there would be a phasing out of Imperial. I'm pleasantly surprised. I kind of like the Imperial system, I gotta be honest with you. But, I mean, metric makes total sense until it comes to things like distances, heights, weights. I can't convert my brain, but then I am an old fogey. So what can you do? Yeah, but we'd love to see you there. Would love to see you there. Honestly, if not for anything other than to compare what we have on our workbenches. I have not painted, I want to say, in a few 4 or 5 weeks time. The last thing I painted was actually the Alyssa stuff, and I haven't painted since. I keep meaning to do a video of my air sprayer, paint gun, paint spray, because I haven't actually used it yet, and I figured it could be funny, like me getting it all over the freaking place, or blowing up the compressor. Oh, did you work more on the Red Dragon than I saw? Because he was looking really nice. My only complaint on that miniature has nothing to do with your painting, and it was the thickness of the stand. But I understand that it's a big dragon, so needed. But your painting was lovely, sir. It really was. Like, I'd be proud to put that on the table. Top-notch work. Using what? The air sprayer? There is a YouTuber, I forget his name now, but I was watching a lot of his videos so I could get comfortable around the spray gun. And it worked. He had some great advice. But he was actually using it on like Warhammer 40k miniatures, like little Space Marine and stuff. Like, he was doing fine work with this spray gun. Kind of blew my brain a little bit. For me, it's in my head, it's going to be like a fireman wrestling with a water hose that's been dropped on the ground and it's all over the place. I swear that is what I'm seeing in my head will be the result. And that's the hump that I've got to get over here. Not sure how much groundwork I want to do. I think we're going to jump into some farms. Miss Glazer, very good to see you, young lady. Very good to see you. I know it's not the same writing it out, but how did North Texas Con go? Oh, there's a breath weapon. So is a breath weapon like some clear plastic? Or are you making your own breath weapon? Is that what you're doing? Farms or trees? Let's do some trees. I'm gonna do I'm gonna do a clump of trees in the top left corner as you're looking at it. Yeah, I think it's top left, above my head. I'm gonna do some trees up there. And then there'll be less trees elsewhere, and I'm probably gonna do the farms first. We're gonna start there. And I should have done this much earlier, but I'm going to create a tree layer. The reason for that is if you draw, well, actually, you don't need to draw your trees on one layer, but if you do, it's easier to select all of those trees, therefore easier to color them all, then give that layer a drop shadow. Instant forest. Oh, Tarnished Night. Yeah, 6mm. But honestly, so 6mm, I've seen some great 6mm stands. I've even painted 6mm, just, to be clear. Only done it once. And I'd like to think that they're basically sands of grain. Sands of grain. What? Let's try that in English. Grains of rice. So I think you could get away with pretty much using anything. That would be one fast-ass way to do it. Especially if you got like really close and got the little air gun and maybe just head height it with shh in a little road. That could be real quick. Jennifer Glazer. Jennifer has been to North Texas Con this last weekend. It was the first gaming convention I'm aware of since COVID, and a lot of my very dear friends were there because it was like game time. I was not. There was about 365 people. That's a good turnout. 7 to 8 vendors, 6 artist tables, a few small publishing tables. It was good. Hotel ? Not so nice. They were not ready. Are you able to talk about the hotel? What was going on with the hotel? Like, no one has mentioned this hotel at all. And that's unfortunate. That's a shame. But it sounds like everyone had an absolute blast of a time. And if I'm going to be honest and transparent with you, Jen, seriously, Jack and I just weren't ready. I'm at the tail end as well. I was in the 2-week period of like my second shot, so strictly speaking, I wasn't done yet, But Jack and I we were not ready. We're still reacclimatizing ourselves post-COVID. I'm doing this on the tree layer. That's bad. That's naughty. Well, that's okay. We'll do this. This is what I do. I get distracted. Now we're here. Let's go nuts. I love doing trees. I have so much fun doing trees. Trees and hedgerows. I mean, look, it just starts to add to the map, you know what I'm saying? You fill in this white area. The white just starts to get pushed back as you start getting deeper and deeper into the textures and the details. Before you know it, the whole map just comes alive. I love it. Gives me goosebumps. AEIOU. Definitely next year. Definitely next year. Jack and I are actually couple of things. We went to our first restaurant only like a week or so ago in the last 15-16 months, and we're forcing ourselves to go at least once a month to go out and eat somewhere. We're acclimatizing ourselves, and we have our friends coming over for an in-building meeting, a game session for the first time in 15 or 16 months this Saturday coming. This Saturday, my first time with real-life friends in forever. And I think that's going to help Jack and I a long way towards, climbing back on that saddle, so to speak. Jen says, they did not have full staff. And you've got 365 people turn up. There was no breakfast offered. Okay. They passed out muffins for $10. No lunch offerings. They weren't ready, were they? They were not prepared. Dinner was a limited menu from 5 to 10. 3 food trucks. That's good. That's no breakfast or anything, no. That sucks. The hotel also had to limit towels and amenities. We were trading items at the table. Alright. Sounds like you conventioneers were way more ready than the hotel was. I'm sorry. But everyone had fun, so that's all that matters. Green Lantern says, this weekend I'll be back working up my first city map. Turned out great, but go slow going. I look forward to seeing it. You have to share it. That's one thing that this channel requires. You have to share the things you work on. We're all creatives here. Jen, I will hook you up with a Call of Cthulhu game. Don't you worry about that. Call of Cthulhu is my shtick now. I think everyone expects it. I'm going to branch out from doing just Cthulhu Invictus. And I'm going to start doing some medieval Cthulhu. Maybe do some Crusades Cthulhu. But I'm going to just run other Cthulhu games. And I will be doing it at Gamehole. And maybe, who knows, maybe one day I will be able to run for the all-women game at North Texas Con one year. Alex, right? Don't you picture that? Don't you picture that that's what they were doing? Someone running through the halls of the hotel with clean towels, with a whole rabid pack chasing them. It sounds like the hotel had a bar going now, so that's something. That's something. I don't know how much I actually want to get into drawing the little roads and everything here, because I am meant to be drawing trees, but I'm having fun. I'm feeling super mellow, talking with my very dear friends here, so let's just draw what happens, right? Let's just draw what happens. This is going to be what leads to the farms, olive groves, that type of thing. And you know what? Let's just bend this up the coast a little bit, up the river. Let's do something like that. Forrest, good to see you, sir. It is the city map today. I will be on the cosmology of role-playing tomorrow. I am changing some things up, and I'm working on the outside of the city map. So we're adding trees, and farms, and hills, and forests. See, as far as the eye can see. But yes, that's what we're going to work on tonight. I am determined to finish the ink work on this map here in the next week and a half. That's my objective right here. Jen, have you never met Cave Geek in person? I suppose all you would need is just for your schedules not to line up. And it's not like you're at every con, so okay. Yeah, and Cave Geek doesn't do like Gamehole. I did not know that you'd never met him. He is an awesome guy. He is such an awesome good dude. Don't tell him I said that. He'll get a big head. Yeah, today is indeed, Mr. Forrest's Tuesday. But definitely on the cosmology of role-playing tomorrow. And once I finish the ink work on this, the cosmology map will probably be at least 2 days a week, just so you know. Because I've got another 2 commissions that I can't stream. So I've got to work on them off camera. So I think we're going to be working on some personal projects on stream time. That means we'll be doing whatever we want, like wild children. What do wild children do? I don't know. Noble Dwarf is here, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you. If you've not seen the latest, this is where we're at with this particular map. Always a pleasure having you pop in. Noble Dwarf, if you're not familiar, they're the ones that I did the Light Harbor map for. They do my printing, they do my t-shirts and hoodies and cups, and they have an incredible plethora of goodies on their site. And I'm sure they are extremely excited to see conventions opening up again. I am still in Photoshop, Forest. And it's working out right now. I mean, honestly, it's just labels. Actually, I would describe the cosmology map as a streamed Excel session, because I'm going through the A to Z of game systems, and I'm in the B's right now. I've done the numbers, I've done the A's, I'm in the B's. Yeah, I think I'm in the B's. I'm not sure I'm in the C's yet. And that's it. I'm just reading the list, I'm looking at the date. If the date's not in the bloody table, which is not a lot of the time, I'm having to go off and research it. So honestly, it's me kind of just reading out these games, some of which are played, some of which I own, most of them I've never heard of, and then we chat about it, you know, and in amongst all of that I put a label on the map. But it is a little walkthrough of role-playing, which has been kind of fun. And Noble, if you're not aware, I am redrawing my cosmology map, the role-playing cosmology map that I did for Gygax magazine #1 back in 2013. I'm doing a 2021 version of it. It is 4 times larger and will have hundreds of games on it. Hundreds. I intend to do a numbered collectors series for it. I think you can see where this is going. So we will definitely be talking about this map, because we will be having fun times with it. It has a lot of interest already. We will do numbered and unnumbered. There won't be any copyright issues or anything. We will 100% own it and decide what we're going to do with it. I'm going to have it on throws and bedspreads. It's going to be epic. It is. It is absolutely going to be epic, and we will need to strike when the iron's hot. We are going to do good things with it. Actually, no, Forrest, I don't take it as you pushing a particular program. I truly don't. I think if I get the time, I might install InDesign, and then we can actually have a session with it, you know. Alyssa learns InDesign, and we can try it out. We can absolutely try it out. At some point, I'm going to have to bring it back into Photoshop for the Photoshop work, but we can... You've already taught me so many things. I am I am nothing if willing to learn new tools. I don't like typically doing it on camera. But I'm not gonna fight it. Shoot, man, you weren't there when I actually started to mask off things. And that was your suggestion too. And now I am a mask whore. Oh my god, I do love masks. I think I've always over-engineered my masks or something. Never quite sort of figured out how to use them, so I ignored them. So I appreciate you, honestly, you being there, sort of saying, do this, try this. Brings me out my comfort zone a little bit. That is one damn sexy little forest up there. Forest, keep it to that. Keep it to that. Yeah, that's actually not a bad way of doing it. Don't want to take from your time, but that would be magnificent. Alright, where else do I want to put some little clumps of trees? You know what, down here. Yeah, let's do it down here. Forest is always sexy, says Mr. Forest. I love drawing me some forest. It's this type of thing right here. Even they're just little tiny puffballs. Look how much character they start to bring to the map, you know? Yes, it is about the city and those districts and the POIs and such. But it's the surrounding texturing that frames everything, you know? And the trees absolutely form part of that. And I said it before and I'm going to say it again. I love taking all of this white that we've got and just beginning to almost wash it away with this texturing that we've got going on. And it goes pretty quickly. Shrubbery. We're gonna have some fields and stuff right here, so that means I really want to do the road before I get sort of too carried away with trees. So let's just stay away from that area for a moment. I like the idea of having trees running alongside roads. So we're definitely, I think we're going to sketch in some road right now. Normally I don't define my roads with flags like that straight away. It tends to be something I do as a secondary action, but I was having too much fun with the flagstone brush. Like I said earlier, there is going to be a frame on this. The client actually picked out a frame. They sent it to me and said do a frame like this, and it is exactly the same frame that we did on the Rikadon and the Lokatai maps. And in fact, if you're not familiar, because we're going to do a similar color scheme too. Let me show you what they look like. I'll just pick one at random. I'll pick the Rikadon map and I'll open it up right here. This is the Rikadon map. The color scheme is going to be very, very similar to this. By the way, the Rikadon and the Lokatoy maps are amongst my favorite because it's the first time I ever tried to do a Mediterranean feeling map and did coloring of water like this. And it actually changed how I do some things as a result. And I love the way the colors came out. I really do. So we're going to be doing something very similar to this, but it is a mega city. You could see these farms, etc. That's the type of feel that we're going to be going for. We're just doing the black and white part of it for now. And you can see that border up there. That's the border we're going to be doing. That's the one they said. And we're going to also, my compass roses, I always have the same, like north, south, east, west compass roses, and I always have a design that I put in the center that is round. And we've got like a theme going, and each map has a unique one. So we're going to take this, we're going to do something unique in the center there. I don't know what that uniqueness is going to be, but because I've already done, I did like, an Athena type, I've done the Medusa type, but we'll come up with something. Poseidon or something. We'll come up with something. So that's what it's going to be. This is the color scheme. This is what we're modeling this after while we're doing this right here. Yep, see you, Noble. Good to have you here. So I thought it was kind of funny that they wanted to do the same design. So we should be able to leverage that. We should be able to leverage that. Do something like that. We'll have farms, etc. inserted around. Let's do another one over here. This helps me because then I can actually do things like this and get those trees along the country lanes, you know? I kind of know where they need to be placed then. Up towards the north. I do like the idea of a road going underneath the aqueduct quite a bit, so let's do something like that. How would I handle farms in a desert city setting? I would ensure that there was some good irrigation system going on. Because, I mean, they had it, right? I mean, you could do it. But I would ensure, I would do canals of water, even if they were very thin. I would have a irrigation system. I think that could actually be really quite visually striking too. Because can you imagine, like, doing mostly sand and blasted rock with these little pockets of green and bright colors, with irrigation systems around? I think that would be beautiful. Yeah, like Alex Vixen says, next to a river. I mean, shit, man. I mean, just start thinking the Nile, right? And Cairo and the likes. But next to a river and or irrigation everywhere. And the irrigation would be an interesting one. Because a river would be... You could do a beautiful Nile with all of this lush greenery like spilling away from it, and it visually would look freaking awesome. But less obvious would be irrigation coming out of maybe some natural springs or something like that. That would be, and then you'd have all of these canals and stuff, even running alongside of roads. Ooh. I think that would visually be something quite different. And sometimes it's all about doing something a little bit different. I have not done a graveyard here. I might put a graveyard up on the hills, but I really wanted to do olive groves and stuff on the hills. Maybe we'll do a graveyard bottom right, like over that side. That might not be a bad idea. Maybe hint at one over here or something. Maybe Roman style, just spilling away, you know, alongside the roads. That might actually be something I do. Let's do that. Let's make it more Roman style. Because this is meant to be, you know, very Romanesque. So maybe even there and there alongside the roads. Forest, that's true. There has to be a visual balance. There has to be a visual balance, without a doubt. If you just did a carpet of green, you're going to lose the desert, right? So you need plenty of desert and the dry rock, but then these lovely pockets of farmland that are very lush. And there would be a great visual contrast. If you get the balance right there, it could be a real winner. Tarnished Knight, you and I were thinking the same. Yeah, Forest, exactly, with the Nile and the heavy contrast. And that heavy contrast, that's what you'd have to bring into the map. For sure, for sure. In fact, like even, I mean, this is not so much desert, but even here, right? I've got like these pockets of greenery that fade out, you know, and they become more blasted, but you know, dry and arid. Something a little like this, but with more sand as you leave the river's edge. It wasn't a desert green Lutoon that I'm thinking of, but I did one city map once. I've done a few like this, but I did one city map that was not next to a river. It was on a hill. But I did some springs, some freshwater springs in the heart of the city, and I put like a little fortification next to that, and it's clear that like the city had grown up from around the springs, maybe a small little town, and grown and grown and grown with some walls going out further, and the springs kind of formed like this minor river, streams coming down the side of the hill and going off. You could absolutely do something similar, and it would be visually pretty striking, I think. And I think as long as the mind's eye can see the water source on something like that, you're golden. Farmland, says Tarnished Knight. What about farmland that's in the shadow of a hopefully extinct volcano? Well, and they have that in real life, right? I can't tell you a source off the top of my head now, but I know that there are people out there that live on the side of these volcanoes, and they farm on the side of these volcanoes because of the incredible soil that's there. I haven't hit save this entire session. I'm going to do that right now. Yeah, Alex Fixin, you get it. Exactly like that. Forest says Pompeii, great farmland. It was making me think. I think it's an Australian area. It might be New Zealand, but it's not really what's being spoken about here. But it is a volcano. But they've got this area actually cordoned off, so to speak. It's like you're not allowed to do shit in this zone. And so it's kind of the opposite. Like when you view it from above, there's this big, huge circle where farmland has not been allowed to encroach. But that is literally the opposite of what we're talking about. So, games played poorly. Nice handle, by the way. The central San Joaquin Valley is all volcanic soil from an old caldera in Central California. Very fertile down there. Here. Did I Joaquin? I almost certainly said that wrong, right? But yeah, exactly that type of thing. You know, we up here in the Pacific Northwest, we have a row of volcanoes now extinct. One of them's definitely still going because it blew its top, about 50 years ago. But I actually don't know if they in and of themselves have caused like the fertile area around, because I know that there was some kind of like flood thousands and thousands of years ago which caused like this great fertile area. I don't know if the volcanoes had anything to do with that. I'm just a big bag of I don't know tonight. Green Lantern says, my players raised a lost city from below the desert sands at the end of our game session a couple of months ago, and he's decided that it was a perfect time to try to have this city map thing. You're gonna map the city that was lost beneath the sands. That's cool. I would stay away from the river. I would not do a river on that one. Unless it came up near or around a river and therefore broke the river, which would have some interesting things from the river actually maybe giving flowing through the city that's now like there when it wasn't previously. That could be interesting. But otherwise, I think you've got a lot of potential for a city that's now been sort of raised from underneath the sands to like have affected the surrounding terrain in a big way, including natural water springs. You could go nuts. I like Alex Vixen's name for it. That's cool though. That's cool. You don't hear of players raising cities much. We are almost done with roads. Almost done with roads. I have a lot of fun drawing the terrain around the city. I'm really getting quite happy just looking at how this thing is taking shape. And I think part of it is, I've always described it as these hills and these forests and these trees and the roads, they're framing our city, and I think the city kind of just floats there really loose without it. Then the minute you start putting in the surrounding area, it starts to just box things in a little bit like a mat on a picture frame, you know, and I visually really love it. Green Loontoon, that was something that I did on the Catalal map years ago for Jeff D. That one ended up having a mixture of different culture sort of pyramids going on in it. That was a fun project, actually. I look forward to very much seeing what you come up with. And if you ever just want my opinion or have a question, just ping me anytime, man. That's what I'm here for. One of my patrons, actually, on Patreon, would just occasionally contact me on Facebook, show me something he's drawn, ask me how to draw something. Occasionally I'll, take it off him, draw an example, and then say, do the rest like that. And I love it. I just love helping people out. It's never a problem. You know what? I'm not gonna actually put that one underneath the aqueduct. We're gonna kind of terminate it, I think, alongside here. We got enough roads going underneath aqueducts. Let's do something a little bit different. I had players once help a local uprising take over a city, but the players ended up getting it for themselves. It's the only time I've had the players own a city. It wasn't a particularly massive city, it was more like a town. It was the one that was based on Dubrovnik, that map. And it ended up being player owned, because they took it over. And not in a malicious way, they killed the bad guys that were running it previously. They became the resistance against the bad guys in the rest of the country. I don't think I've ever had a city otherwise affected by players to that degree. Okay, so after I've done roads, I do like to dot in some trees. I've done that. I am going to start to draw farms. I think that's where we're at. I am going to do a little path coming up the top here. Let's swing in here. I don't know what I was going to have on the top of the hill here. And I don't know if I want to make it anything important because it's going to have a freaking picture frame right over the top of it. But maybe we could just have a building of some description. Orchards, maybe. Something like that. Green Lantern says they've discovered that the elves of this city have all been turned to stone. Now, is that permanent? Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn off my trace layer. I'm going to turn off my trace layer while we're doing this. Because I think it will give us some freedom here. Freedom to draw what the hell we like, and you can't stop me. I am not going to get too crazy with these freaking hedgerows. It will drive me batty. But just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just tease it, you know. Just here or there. A little something, something. We're going to do different types of farm delineation. I'll tell you what, GL, the person that's got the weakest note-taking in my particular group is me, and I'm the freaking GM. I'm actually hoping that I've got notes from 15 months ago. Every time that we run a game, I personally send out a recap to everyone just prior to the next game. it gets myself and everyone kind of in the headspace for what we're about to play and where we left everything. And I have that for every single Call of Cthulhu game, except for the last session. Because I normally would send them before the next game, and there wasn't a next game. And so over a year has passed by, and I'm kind of sitting here going, shit, man, what happened in that session? So, and I'm really not sure if I got notes on it. So we're all getting together on Saturday, and we're figuring it out together. Now, I'm not gonna actually do fences and hedgerows and walls alongside every single farm, because I want some of this to be, you know, like Mediterranean farms. A lot of the time they just go and they bleed, you know, from one to another, and there's no fence or anything there. They're just following the terrain. I want to do a level of that, but that's only going to get picked up in colouring. But I mean, I am going to do a little bit of what I'm doing right now. Jennifer's suggesting time warp. In fact, I've got like this project folder where I keep all of my stuff. I'm just not sure that I have any notes in this folder. Now I'm living in hope that, because I normally have a laptop, and if I'm going to keep notes, I'm hoping that I've got some notes in a little notepad on the desktop of that laptop. But I'm pretty sure I don't. Alex Gray, I attempted it. You know what? I'll take it at this point. This Saturday, when we all get together, we'll actually, because the Masks of Nyarlathotep is actually, you know, it's not a straightforward game, like, at all, right? It's world spanning. There's a lot going on. There's a massive clues. One of the players has got a whiteboard that he's been like tracking all of the clues on. Jack's got this old 1920s suitcase or briefcase. He's got all of the clues in it. And we're going to sit down now on Saturday, and the first session is us just refreshing ourselves from the beginning of the game, like what's happened, what they found, where they found it, refresh everyone's brain. And I'm hoping in that session I remember where we left things. I mean, I know that they left it in London. I know that they defeated the cultists. I know that they actually killed the head 2 cultists. I know how they did it. So, I mean, I suppose I'm okay from that point of view, but definitely I need to freshen up a little bit. Alex Vixen. Yeah, that's probably honestly exactly how it goes. I'm not gonna lie to you, girl. I am not gonna lie to you. I get so into the story, you know what I'm saying? I love GMing. I love GMing so much. Like, a lot of the time, I'm walking around the table, I'm standing, less so when I'm at home, all of the time at conventions. I get right into it. Well, if you're doing this, you're not taking freaking notes. That's my problem. So yeah, I've definitely got that file situation you're talking about. And you know, sometimes like the players will say, you know, they'll meet some random person, someone's not in like the scenario at all. Give them a name, because you've got to give them a name. Do I write that name down? Nope. But I know I have been. I know somewhere I have been writing some of this down. I know I have. I remember doing it, and I have no idea where. I think that's part of my problem. Will I actually locate it before Saturday? Probably not. And GL, that's exactly the thing that gets me in trouble. I have no problem winging it. I've winged some serious sessions. The problem is if you have to remember the shit that you've just winged, that's where I start to fall apart right there. By the way, just a quick time check. I'm probably going to go for another 15 minutes. So I'm going to just try and go all the way up alongside me here to the top of the map. And probably that will be a good point to end it. Off camera, I'm going to try and finish the interior of the city. Then when we come back to this next Monday, because tomorrow will be the cosmology map, I'm going to try and finish the terrain on the outside. I think next Monday or Tuesday, we might be done with the ink work on this map. That, I think, is our objective. Then off to colouring. This one, I'm probably not going to colour myself. I'm gonna get a colourist to do it for me. We're going to see how it goes. The reason for that is the other two commissions I can't talk about. I took them on with a pretty tight time frame and need to refocus. I am going to ask the client if I am allowed to stream those other maps that I'm working on, but I suspect they will say no. But I'm going to ask. I tell you what though, GL, like, you know, the opposite of me is on my players. Like, they're sitting there with their little books and notepads and that type of stuff, and I'm talking about they've got period notebooks and things like that, things that look really kick-ass, and they are making notes upon notes upon notes. Jack can just go back in time in his notebook, and he's got all sorts documented, people, times, places, dates. And he's like, wait a minute. We met him. Remember, on that shop in London, and he told us about blah 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 and such, and he has it all right there. He's going to end up with more written down in his notes than I've actually got in the core campaign itself. I put money on it. And I think as a GM, that's kind of heartwarming, right? You want to see things like that. You want to see your players so engaged. Oh, that's what's missing from here. I don't have enough buildings. I need a couple of other buildings. Forest, no. I used to have a colorist years ago, and he and I were a little bit like Goscinny and Underzone, you know, Asterix and Obelix. Like, we were a great team, and he did awesome coloring. And yeah, it was brilliant. It was a great relationship, and he was quick. You know, he was quick. But like in the last 8 years, maybe I haven't had it. And yeah, and I do all of my own coloring, and I typically do it right here on camera. And I like coloring. Sometimes the results aren't so good. A lot of the time, they come out okay. And it's only been I've been thinking about getting a colorist, because it will help me increase my output, and that's important to me. But also, it's something I can rely on in crunch time periods, where I can just get the core map done, someone else help me with the coloring. And I've seen his work. He actually colored one of my maps for me, and I was like, yeah, this actually looks pretty damn good. So I'm gonna try him out for the first time properly. Well, actually, no, it tells a lie. He recolored Rikadon for me, and I like the results. I'm going to give him 3 other maps to do where I didn't like my own colouring. I'm going to get him to do them, and if it all works out, he's going to be colouring this one for us. That's the plan. Alex, I got a funny feeling that you and Jack would get along like a house on fire in that respect. My best note-taking session as a player was actually years and years and years ago. And I had a character that would write a diary. I've personally never written a diary, but this character did. But it became a problem because I was taking so many notes during the game, I wasn't paying attention to the game. And that was the last time I've done it. That was the last time I've ever been that copious on notes. It's funny that you say that, actually, Forrest. I love. Actually, let me look this up. I'm a big, huge fan of comic book artwork, particularly some styles. And maybe a little weirdly, the simpler the better. That traditional, very clean black and white work, and then a good colorist accompanied with that. I am a huge fan of that as a medium, like big time. So the fact that you used to do that is actually really freaking cool. But yeah, I could see burnout being a thing, and definitely you need to be in lockstep with the person doing the black and white work. Like I've actually showed this guy this map. I gave him this, and he doesn't seem to be like intimidated by it. So I'm hoping it all works out. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to be burning the midnight oil and doing it myself. But I actually have some high hopes. Coloring on comics, that is fantastic. That is fantastic. That was meant to be on the building layer. All of these should have been on the building layer. I am a dope. I am a dope. Well, I'm just gonna deal. I'm just gonna deal with it. Alright, let's work this corner just a little bit. Let's get this corner at a nice little stopping point, and then I'll be able to go, yep, that was a good session. Right. That would be an interesting perspective, actually. Doing desaturated colors to give the feeling of atmospheric perspective. Yeah, I've been known to outright put clouds above my cities, which maybe is a little bit too on the nose. But people like my clouds. I don't do it too often because it covers up all of the lovely details. I wonder if I could find a map that I've put clouds on real quick. I wonder if I could find one. Hold on a sec. Let me see if I can show you guys and girls. Like, here's one that I did earlier. Because I've got all of my stuff. Here you go. Actually, the Dubrovnik one. This is my Dubrovnik map. There's one with clouds. This map I did originally ink on paper, then coloured in Photoshop. I don't know, there was nothing here done intentionally to like desaturate, so to speak, but this here got the clouds on, and I do shadowing like this, and I find that this helps obviously create elevation. But yeah, so occasionally I have been known to throw clouds on my maps, and this is a prime example. And that's typically what I do. That's typically my approach. on like all of my maps, really. Just the clouds don't get on all of them. The clouds, I want to say about 50%. About 50%. It really depends. Like something like this, if you throw clouds on this, it is going to cover the city map itself, like the buildings. And I think there are pros and cons to that. But I do think that you could throw in some good cloud coverage somewhere like there and not really cover up anything of import. Even potentially, like, you know, over there in the corner. So this one maybe you could. This one maybe you could. Definitely over the water and such. Get a nice drop shadow going. Like underneath the cloud. That could be kind of cool. I don't know if this is the map for it, but yeah. AIOU says definite cons. I've done some maps where you can't put a cloud on it because it is covering something that you don't want to cover. I mean, I'm bad enough putting labels on my maps, you know what I'm saying? I don't mind numbered a lot of the time and then a key off to one side. I much prefer that. But shoving labels on a map, you start to cover up all of that hard work. Oh, it makes my little heart cry, it does. But, if you get the right map, the clouds kick it into overdrive. Like they transform it. You could have clouds on the edge cut off. Yeah, and I've kind of done it that way, you know, kind of arranging the clouds so they don't cover critical things. And I really think it's down to the city, right? This one might get away with it. Maybe we'll even try it on this one. Because there's nothing on the outside of this. Like, this one here, I think you could get away with clouds as well. You could. There's enough unlabeled sections on there where you could throw some clouds on there and be absolutely peachy green, you know. But I did a Luxembourg city map, but the concentrating on the Star Fortress part of it. And did a fantasy version of that. And that one was actually really hard to put clouds on. Because almost every square inch of that had something visually engaging that you did not want to cover up. Like almost every section of that map. And that one I ended up not putting clouds on. Or I had an optional cloud layer. And I presented it as both versions. I think we're good for tonight. I think we are at a great stopping point. I think we're gonna end it right about here. Gonna hit save. Okay, so my plan with this map is to finish the buildings off camera and to finish the rest of the farms on camera next week, and to be done with this map, done with the ink work, basically this time next week. That is my objective. And then we will come back to this one in July, and we will be working on labels. The client does want labels on this map, and that will mean that we actually need a key. And we've got to put a compass rose on this map. And we've got to put... In fact, let's bring my trace layer back on. So let's talk about things that we've got to actually put on this map. We have to actually... Whoops. Let's get a slightly bigger brush, just so everyone can sort of see what I'm dealing with. We're going to have to put a frame on this map. Neater than this, but you get the idea. We're going to have to do a frame. We are going to have to put a key on this map somewhere, and I'm thinking something like here could be a good location for the key. I'm thinking something like here for the name of the city, and probably or maybe up in the top right corner, and then something like our compass rose and scale bar. Something like that. So the key could be a real problem if I'm not careful, because that would cover shit up, you know what I'm saying? That clouds, we'll see. We will not be doing the compass rose or the name or the frame or the key until it's colored. I'm going to do them last. That's typically how I approach it. So those are the things we still need to do. Black and white though, finishing that next week. I am still here tomorrow. We're going to be doing the cosmology of RPGs tomorrow. So join me then if you want a walk down memory lane of hundreds of role-playing games. I'm placing them on. I'm just getting them on my timeline right now. And I'm in the B's and the C's. I've got some adjustments and font sizes to do, but that will be all for tomorrow. So with that said, I want to thank every single one of you for hanging out with me tonight. It was a lively chat. I really do appreciate it. If you're watching this video after the fact, thank you very much for sticking to the end. Much love. So until tomorrow, everyone, huge amount of love to every single one of you. I will see you all on the flip side. See you tomorrow for the Cosmos.